Is there ever any pressure to date or marry within your culture?
I did not have that pressure. And it's kind of this interesting oppression in terms of the, oh, a white man, like, marry him, because I think a lot of times, like, in the Philippines where my family is from, well, for example, my grandpa on my mom's side was, like, ethnically Norwegian. Grew up in Minnesota. And he then was in the Navy and married my Filipino grandma, and then he like moved there, and my mom's family born and raised there, but their father was like tall, blonde, white, blue-eyed man in the middle of like this rural village in the southern Philippines, and so they were the only ones with like this long Norwegian last name in like all the Philippines. But I remember feeling that from like when I go back to the Philippines, we call it going back home, that's seen as especially in this rural area, it's like seen as status thing, like very much. So I wasn't aware so much of that, people being happy that I married like a Greek American man, which is he says it's a different kind of white. It's like Southern European white. That's a different experience. I'm like, okay, all right. But no, and we like growing up in like the Southeast United States, we were very much surrounded by the Filipino community there, and so I knew all the Filipino, like I grew up with them, and so it felt really weird to like want to marry any of them because they felt like my brothers. So that just wasn't gonna happen. But how about you? Did you feel pressure marrying within your own culture?
I actually have a similar experience. Both my parents are Haitian, and my mom was like, "Don't marry Haitian."
Oh.
And so so she's, seeing my parents argue and things like that. Like, oh, all right, I know them not to do that. But she's always joked about that. But my boyfriend's actually Irish American, and interestingly enough, most of the men that I've dated have been white or some form of white, and so I've never felt that pressure. My mom has always supported whoever I've been with. My dad's always supported who I've been with, and I think it's kind of fun to be with someone like you're with someone that's Greek. I think it's fun to be with someone that's from a different culture than yourself. It's like your household's like a little salad, and it's like you get to learn about the different culture, and you learn more about yourself too, because I feel like I have to explain a lot of cultural things to my partner, and because of that, like I learn more about my culture, and it makes me actually like think about it and articulate it to him. And because of that, I really like it, and so I always enjoy being with a partner that's culturally different.
Oh, that's great. I mean, I enjoy it as well. It's something not intellectual, like you have to live it.
Yeah.
And so if you haven't lived it, then you can empathize, but you're not going to totally connect. But I'm going to get cultural things fulfilled elsewhere, probably. Because he wants to learn, but there's only so much he knows.
Yeah.
Because he didn't grow up that way.
Yeah.
And I experienced that with my husband too. Because American culture or Western culture is very kind of individualistic, whereas culture from the global South, developing countries,
Caribbean, it's different.
very communal.
Yeah.
So like you don't talk about yourself. You don't try to stand up, which has a good thing and a bad thing about it too, in terms of like.
And it's really interesting too, because while I'm Haitian American, a lot of like the beliefs and ideals of Haiti I disagree with. One of the things is that men are always right. I know that's from my understanding, from what I witness, and that's a lot of the world that's like that. And because of that, it's hard too to be with someone of my same culture, because I don't agree with that. And so it's nice to break out and be with other people from different cultures. And if it happens to be with a man that is from Haiti, that's great too, but it just hasn't happened that way so far.
I know, it's so interesting in terms of being first generation. What are the amazing things to hold on to from back home, and what are the things that I'm more American about or whatever. But having cousins in the Philippines too, back home is changing too.
Yeah.
So
it's changing everywhere.
Modern Haiti might be different.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, most of my family's here in America, so the perception I have of Haiti is from that old Haiti. Speaking my mind on it, I gotta preface it that I don't know the new Haiti, so I look forward to go and hopefully see a different Haiti.
What's the one thing you could tell your parents if they were sitting in front of you today about their immigration story and its influence, if any, on you and your worldview?
I would tell them it's so inspiring and it motivates me so much. So my parents came in the 80s in New York, you know. I learned a lot from being strong. They were strong to come here and know no one and become the successful people that they are. My dad's a doctor, my mom's a nurse, and that's pushed me to, you know, go to law school and be successful. So I would thank them because I really learned what it means to struggle, and that struggle is good and education's important.
Yeah, my dad is the same, like finished his medical residency here in like Northeast US, and my mom was a nurse too. Whoa.
Yeah.
What? And yeah, just thanking them for their hard work to do those kind of professions in general, but then to do them in a different culture, having to learn the language. You know, they always say, we wanted to help you have a better life, you know.
Have you ever felt blanketed by another group's cultural identity? If so, how did you deal with it? Does this result in an erasure of your feeling of belonging?
Yes, I have. Growing up in the United States, the Southeast, there's not a huge amount of cultural diversity and actually a long history of trying to be, you know, segregation and prejudice and racism and everything like that. I've lived like in San Francisco and traveled Seattle and New York City, and those are just amazing, you know, like yourself from South Florida, just amazing ethnic paradises in terms of like never feeling like you're the only one. But growing up, I was like the only one, always the only Asian in the class. And I remember one time I saw a National Geographic magazine, and there was a model who was Asian American. It was like a travel magazine. It wasn't like the magazine. Yeah. And I remember just like my whole entity. You know, it's just a subconscious reaction, like nothing I'm trying to like craft. And you know, I was like, I could see myself. I mean, you know, involuntary reaction. I'm like, and I could see like a body shape that looked like mine. You know, it was just like really significant that I realized that, oh my gosh, I'm not the only one. There are other people out there, you know, and so I definitely can feel blanketed by the dominant culture, and it's not the dominant culture. There are all kind of cultures out there, and the more we can be exposed to that, the more people will not feel lonely, will not feel like they have to suppress their identity. I think it's great to see how we're all similar, but it's just as strong to see how we're all different. How that is our strength also. It's not a detriment. That it's a beautiful thing to be unique.
I've been blessed to live in those cultural paradises. You know, New York and then South Florida, and so I've always had people that, you know, were from my culture or from the Caribbean or from Hispanic cultures, from the Philippines, from everywhere. And so, you know, that's been my world, and I've, you know, learned to appreciate it, you know, leaving that world. You know, here in North Carolina, I haven't met as many, you know, culturally diverse people, and, you know, that's the South, that's typical of it. And so it's really made me appreciate the places that I'm from, and there's beauty, and I think there's strength in being in places that don't have people that look like you all the time, because it makes you appreciate it when you are around that. And it also makes you identify yourself, like find an identity in yourself, because I think when I was in these cultural, you know, melting pots, these salads, I just fell with the group. I didn't feel very unique, you know, I didn't feel very different because everyone was like me, everyone, you know, came from the same household, ate the same food. And so coming to places that aren't like that makes me like really want to appreciate my culture more and realize that I am unique and that I am different, and to embrace that. And so it's good to have it both ways, and it's just learning your identity. It's normal.